Urban explorers just uncovered a hidden underworld beneath San Diego. Sealed tunnels, toxic chambers, forgotten military bunkers, and ancient structures no one knew existed. The deeper they went, the clearer it became. Something dangerous has been hiding below the city for decades. The discovery that should have never been found, a hidden underworld below San Diego. The discovery began where it never should have happened, inside a restricted drainage system beneath downtown San Diego. Urban explorers, expecting nothing more than graffiti-filled tunnels and runoff pipes, slipped through a maintenance grate that had been sealed since the early 1990s. They followed the narrow passage until it opened into a massive, unrecorded chamber no city map had ever documented. What they found wasn't a spillway, a storm drain, or a utility vault. It was something older, deeper, and deliberately modified over many decades. The first thing they noticed was the wall structure. Instead of uniform concrete, the chamber showed hand-cut stone sections, chiseled and shaped long before modern building codes existed. These older surfaces were patched with newer concrete, as if different groups, at different times, had tried to reinforce or hide the chamber. One explorer whispered on camera, "Someone kept coming down here. Someone kept changing this place." Airflow tests revealed something far stranger. When they held loose dust near cracks in the wall, the dust pulled inward. The chamber was breathing, meaning large open cavities existed deeper underground. This wasn't a dead-end storm drain. It was the upper entrance to a much bigger system. The airflow was too steady, too forceful, and too cold to come from surface ventilation. It suggested hallways or tunnels extending further, possibly far below the city. On the floor, the explorers found patches of strange residue, smooth, dark, and oily. When they stepped on it, it smeared like something recent, not decades old. Officially, this area had been sealed since the late 20th century, but the residue suggested recent activity, possibly from people accessing the chamber through hidden routes the public doesn't know about. The explorers recorded the entire discovery, but the footage raised concerns immediately. This wasn't a forgotten utility space or a simple error in city records. The structural layout, airflow, and layered construction hinted at a multi-era underground system, one that had been expanded and altered repeatedly by smugglers, by Prohibition-era tunnelers, by military contractors, or by someone even earlier. The footage ended with one final unsettling moment. As the camera panned across a far wall, the microphone captured a faint metallic echo, deep, rhythmic, repeating. It didn't sound like dripping water or street noise. It sounded mechanical, distant, and alive somewhere further below. One explorer said afterward, "We didn't discover a tunnel. We discovered the entrance to something that shouldn't exist." And the truth is, San Diego has been building on top of itself for more than a century, layer after layer, hiding more than anyone realizes. San Diego's buried layers, a city literally built on top of itself. San Diego looks modern, clean, and open on the surface, but beneath the streets lies a stacked timeline of forgotten infrastructure. The city didn't grow outward, it grew upward, building new districts on top of old ones, burying early systems instead of removing them. This created a maze of lost rail lines, basements, sealed tunnels, abandoned ducts, and structural voids below the concrete. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, downtown was crisscrossed by rail tracks, freight lines, and horse-drawn streetcar routes. Many of these were never dug out. They were simply paved over and left intact. During modern construction work, crews often find rusted rails and wooden ties several feet beneath the roads. To a city planner, these are relics, but to urban explorers, they are warning signs. San Diego sits on top of forgotten worlds. Utility expansion in the 1920s and 1940s added another layer. Early electrical corridors, obsolete water mains, and brick-lined storage tunnels were abandoned and sealed as new systems were built above them. Urban planning documents acknowledge these void pockets, noting they can lead to structural instability during heavy construction. Some engineers have even reported concrete slabs collapsing into forgotten basements. The buried history isn't limited to utilities. In Old Town, El Campo Santo Cemetery still has more than 20 graves beneath modern roadways, confirmed through ground-penetrating radar. The city built around, and literally over, the dead. Brass markers on sidewalks show where some graves lie, but many bodies remain beneath active streets. This means the city's underground isn't just infrastructure. It's a patchwork of human history sealed beneath asphalt. The result is a city layered like sediment: indigenous habitation zones, early settler structures, Victorian-era basements, Prohibition tunnels, Cold War ducts, and modern drainage systems, all stacked into a fragile, interconnected underworld. Most people walk above it unaware that empty spaces, sealed chambers, and forgotten tunnels sit just a few feet below. This layered construction makes San Diego uniquely vulnerable to accidental breaches. One wrong turn by an explorer, one collapsed drain, one eroded foundation, and someone could fall into an uncharted, dangerous underground zone. And the discovery beneath downtown shows exactly how easy it is to stumble into something the city never expected anyone to find again. Transition. But the underground story doesn't end with modern structures. San Diego's hidden world stretches back nearly 10,000 years, far beyond the city itself. Ancient footprints, 9,500 years of human activity hidden below. Long before San Diego became a city, a port, or even a known region, the coastline around La Jolla was home to some of North America's earliest coastal cultures. Archaeologists uncovered remains dating back 9,500 years, proving that people lived, worked, and buried their dead here long before written history. These early coastal inhabitants created pits, storage areas, shelters carved into soft cliff layers, and ritual spaces now buried beneath modern homes, businesses, and paved streets. The most influential early researcher, Malcolm J. Rogers, documented what he called the shell-midden people, groups who lived on these bluffs and shorelines. They left behind grinding stones, shell beads, ceremonial placements, and burial sites that now lie under neighborhoods, golf courses, and coastal roads. Layers of sediment, construction, and erosion sealed these ancient features underground, leaving them preserved but invisible. And this is where the danger begins. Many of these prehistoric zones sit beneath fragile cliffs and soft sandstone. Over time, the weight of modern development has pushed downward, collapsing older pockets and compressing layers not meant to hold that pressure. Beneath La Jolla's cliffs, researchers identified multiple stacked habitation layers, each containing ancient tools or burial features, densely packed slices of human history. Disturbing any one of them can cause cascading collapses, exposing sensitive archaeological material, or destabilizing the layers above. Urban explorers entering unknown spaces beneath San Diego have no idea what they might be stepping into. A smooth concrete tunnel could suddenly open into a hollow prehistoric pit filled with fragile bones. A cracked wall might spill out ancient sediment that has remained sealed since the last ice age. These early structures were never meant to support modern activity. They were carved into cliff faces, not engineered for stability. One archaeologist warned, a careless step in the wrong chamber could erase 10,000 years of history in seconds. Some residents in La Jolla have even reported their yards sinking or cracking after storms. Signs of hidden voids below. These voids aren't modern infrastructure. They're remnants of early human life now trapped beneath sediment and construction. With explorers now breaching uncharted underground areas, the risk of disturbing these prehistoric layers grows. Beneath the city lies a hidden record of humanity's earliest coastal culture, and a single breach could destroy evidence that has survived for nearly 10 millennia. Transition to yet while ancient history hides beneath the cliffs, another far more dangerous secret is buried under Mission Bay, one made not by ancient hands, but by modern neglect. Toxic land beneath Mission Bay, a hidden environmental threat. To most people, Mission Bay Park looks peaceful: blue water, green grass, bike paths, and family areas. But beneath this calm surface lies one of San Diego's darkest secrets, a 115-acre toxic landfill, active from 1952 to 1959, buried under just 15 feet of dredged material. This landfill contains acids, cyanide, paint waste, aerospace chemicals, solvents, and other industrial toxins that were dumped long before environmental safety laws existed. The land was never cleaned. It was simply covered, not remediated. Today, gases like methane and hydrogen sulfide still accumulate in pockets beneath the ground. Some detectors near SeaWorld occasionally pick up traces, confirming the danger is ongoing. Engineers have documented that the landfill area shifts unevenly, causing the roads to buckle, ripple, and warp. Anyone who drives near South Shores has felt those bumps. It's the land sinking as buried waste decomposes. One environmental report stated, "This landfill remains active beneath the surface. Only the soil hides it." Urban explorers who wander into storm drains, runoff tunnels, or sealed channels in this area face risks they cannot see or smell. Toxic gases can pool in low spaces. One wrong opening in an old drain could release fumes that overwhelm a person in seconds. And many tunnels in Mission Bay intersect near the old landfill boundary, meaning explorers could unknowingly crawl into unventilated pockets filled with hazardous air. The ground itself is unstable. With old drums and waste containers collapsing slowly underground, entire sections of soil can sink without warning. A hollow chamber created by decayed waste might sit inches below a concrete slab. One explorer stepping on the wrong patch could trigger a collapse. There's also the threat of disturbing contamination that has remained contained only by accident. If explorers break through a thin concrete wall or rusted barrier, they could release chemicals into stormwater systems or onto themselves. Worst of all, the landfill's full map is incomplete. Sections were poorly documented. Some disposal pits were moved, expanded, or refilled without record. This means the underground danger zone may be far bigger than anyone realizes. Mission Bay's beauty hides a toxic underworld that was never meant to be touched again. But explorers breaching San Diego's underground unknowingly edge closer to it, putting themselves, and potentially the public, at real risk. Transition to, and the deeper explorers push into the city's forgotten spaces, the more they uncover tunnels with histories far darker than tourists ever hear about. Sunny Jim's Cave, a tourist attraction with a darker past. Most people who visit La Jolla know Sunny Jim's Cave as a quirky tourist spot, the only sea cave in California you can walk into through a man-made tunnel. They pay a small fee, descend 144 carved steps, take photos, and leave thinking they explored a harmless historic landmark. But the truth behind this cave is far more complicated and far more dangerous than most visitors ever learn. The tunnel itself was carved in 1902 by a German artist and entrepreneur who wanted to charge tourists for ocean access. But he wasn't the only one interested in this hidden passage. During Prohibition, the cave's isolation and long, winding tunnel made it the perfect smuggling route. Rum runners brought in whiskey, opium, and even undocumented immigrants, using the roar of the waves to hide their movements. Some historians believe a side passage, now collapsed, once connected to underground storage rooms further inland. These chambers never appeared on city maps, and the collapse sealed whatever was inside. Modern engineers reviewing the tunnel say the interior walls show signs of intentional widening, likely to accommodate smugglers carrying heavy crates. This suggests that Sunny Jim's was not just a coastal oddity, it was part of a broader underground system used by criminal networks long before the gas lamps tunnels were sealed. Urban explorers who have entered restricted caves nearby reported collapsed entrances, unstable sandstone ceilings, and sudden drops into hidden pockets carved by waves over thousands of years. Sunny Jim's Cave is maintained for safety, but the surrounding coastline is filled with uncharted hollows, eroded chambers, and partially collapsed tunnels that never received reinforcement. One coastal geologist said, "A cave can be safe one year and deadly the next. Sandstone gives no warning before it fails." The cave also sits inside a zone shaped by violent tides. A sudden swell can trap anyone exploring deeper pockets, cutting off escape routes and pulling them into submerged chambers. Several rescues have occurred over the last few decades because people believed they were exploring harmless natural spaces, only to find themselves caught in collapsing rock or rising water. What Sonny Jim's cave really represents is this: a visible doorway into a much larger, forgotten underworld. A place where prohibition smugglers, early cave carvers, and modern thrill seekers have crossed paths above a coastline filled with eroded chambers that no one has mapped fully. Transition to, and the deeper explorers look for San Diego's hidden origins, the more they risk stumbling into evidence far older and far more controversial than anything carved in 1902. The Cerruti Mastodon Site, evidence of a civilization far older than expected. If Sonny Jim's cave connects modern explorers to the early 1900s, the Cerruti Mastodon Site connects them to something far older, something that challenges the entire timeline of human history in North America. In 1992, during a highway project near State Route 54, workers uncovered mastodon bones. That alone wasn't unusual. What was unusual were the fractures. The bones were broken in ways that looked intentional, as if someone had struck them with tools. Archaeologists from the San Diego Natural History Museum investigated and found hammerstones and anvil stones beside the bones. These were not random rocks. They showed impact patterns consistent with deliberate tool use. When the bones were tested, the results shocked the scientific community: 130,700 years old. This would push human activity in North America back more than 100,000 years earlier than the accepted timeline. The site instantly became one of the most controversial discoveries in American archaeology. Critics argued that natural forces, earth movement, construction equipment, or environmental pressure could break bones in similar ways. But residue tests on the stones revealed organic transfer, suggesting the tools had been used on the bones directly. One archaeologist said, "Nature doesn't position hammerstones next to impact fractures with this level of precision." If the Cerruti evidence is real, and many experts believe it is, it means humans or human-like species may have been here long before the Clovis people, long before migration theories predict, and long before any known culture carved rock or built settlements. It suggests a chapter of human presence buried beneath San Diego that predates all recorded history. This is where the danger intersects with modern exploration. Many underground chambers, runoff channels, and sediment layers are unprotected. An explorer squeezing into the wrong fissure could disturb or destroy material crucial to understanding prehistoric life in North America. The Cerruti site was found by accident, meaning other sites may exist below neighborhoods, roads, or open land, waiting to be uncovered or accidentally destroyed. One paleontologist warned, if this evidence is real, San Diego may sit on top of the oldest human activity on the continent. Transition to and while ancient evidence hides in sediment, newer dangers, built by the military and buried across the county, wait quietly in the shadows of San Diego's underground. The military's hidden past, abandoned bunkers and rocket testing labs. San Diego's underground isn't just shaped by nature, smugglers, or forgotten city planners. A huge portion of it was carved out by the U.S. military, which spent decades tunneling into hillsides, testing weapons, and creating hardened sites meant to survive war. Most of these facilities were sealed, abandoned, or absorbed into private land. But their tunnels remain, and they are becoming a new target for urban explorers who have no idea what lies behind those rusting steel doors. The Sycamore Canyon Test Facility is one of the most infamous examples. Built during the Cold War, it served as a hidden testing ground for rocket engines created by defense giants like Hughes Aircraft, Lockheed Martin, and General Dynamics. Massive underground bunkers were carved into the hills east of the city, designed to limit blast damage and contain fuel explosions. Even now, visitors to the area report hearing hollow echoes beneath their feet, a reminder of the labyrinth left behind. The site is closed to the public, but erosion, vandalism, and time have exposed broken vents and partially collapsed entrances. One former engineer said, "People think these bunkers are empty. They're not. Some still have residue that can kill you. But the most unnerving military tunnels lie near the coast, where San Diego once braced for a Pacific invasion during World War II. Near Point Loma, engineers blasted into the cliffs to create command posts, fire control stations, communication tunnels, and storage vaults beneath Battery Ashburn. These chambers supported 16-inch naval guns, weapons capable of hitting ships 30 miles offshore. The bunkers were carved deep into the hillside, reinforced with concrete so thick it could survive bombardment. After the war, the guns were removed, the entrances sealed, and the site was left to decay. Today, many of these coastal bunkers suffer from corrosion, erosion, and saltwater intrusion. Some are filled with stagnant air. Others contain fuel residues, asbestos fibers, or collapsing ceilings. Explorers who enter them are walking into spaces engineered to be airtight and blast-resistant, meaning if the door slams shut or a section collapses, there's no way out. One ranger described these bunkers simply, "They are tombs waiting to happen." And not all tunnels were fully decommissioned. Survivors from the 1980s recall hearing engine tests deep at night, long after the official closure of Sycamore Canyon. Whether those were relic operations, private contractors, or secret programs is still unknown. But the tunnels they used remain dark, unstable, and saturated with materials no civilian should ever breathe. For explorers hunting the coolest abandoned places, these bunkers look like adventure. But beneath the rusted doors and broken stairwells lie toxic chemicals, blind vertical drops, hidden shafts, and reinforced rooms that can trap air or people. The military built these tunnels to withstand war. They were not designed for safe exploration. Transition to end San Diego's buried secrets don't stop with the military. Beneath downtown, another forgotten world is waking up. One shaped by smuggling, survival, and hidden passageways from over a century ago. Chinatown's buried tunnels, ghosts of smuggling, survival, and opium. Long before San Diego became a trendy nightlife district, the Gas Lamp Quarter was home to a thriving Chinese community that lived under constant discrimination, violence, and restrictive laws. Forced to work and move discreetly, Chinese immigrants in the late 1800s built hidden tunnels beneath storefronts, alleys, and boarding houses, networks used for survival, secrecy, and smuggling. Today, many of these tunnels remain sealed, forgotten, or collapsed beneath polished bars and restaurants. But explorers still report hearing hollow echoes behind walls that should be solid. Buildings like the Kwong Building contain not only legal merchant shops, but also opium dens, gambling rooms, and concealed basements. Stairwells led downward into dim spaces where people gathered away from police raids and racial violence. The Spencer Ogden Building, once a hub of downtown activity, also contained basement links believed to have been used during Prohibition, when alcohol flowed beneath the streets even as it was banned above them. Historians agree these tunnels existed, but their full layout was never officially mapped. Many were bricked over in the 1930s and 1940s as the city attempted to clean up its reputation. But sealing a tunnel doesn't erase it. Over time, urban settling, plumbing leaks, and construction vibrations have caused some sealed areas to crack, allowing air to flow through dead-end walls. Explorers often report hearing wind moving behind bricks, suggesting hollow spaces still stretch under the sidewalks. One historian said, "San Diego didn't erase Chinatown, it paved over it." These tunnels are incredibly dangerous today. Structural supports have rotted, floors have collapsed into deeper chambers. Some rooms were filled with gravel or concrete, but the fill has settled unevenly, leaving hidden voids. Exploring these spaces can mean stepping onto what looks like solid ground, only to fall into a drop created by a century of decay. Modern construction crews occasionally encounter these forgotten spaces. Workers have reported finding sealed wooden doors, boarded-over staircases, and soil-filled corridors during renovations. In some cases, they halt projects because the ground beneath is too unstable to build on. For urban explorers, these tunnels present a deadly mix: history, secrecy, and instability. One wrong brick pulled loose could collapse a century-old wall. One shift in the soil could open a sinkhole beneath their feet. What once protected a community from persecution may now threaten those who try to enter it. Transition. And as explorers keep digging deeper into San Diego's forgotten spaces, they unknowingly move toward the most dangerous tunnels of all, those built not for survival or smuggling, but for international crime. Border tunnels, a sophisticated network beneath the city. Beneath the southern edge of San Diego lies one of the most dangerous and complex underground systems in North America: cartel-engineered border tunnels. Since 1990, authorities have discovered over 183 tunnels connecting Tijuana and San Diego, some stretching the length of 6 football fields. These tunnels aren't crude holes in the ground. Many contain rail tracks, ventilation systems, drainage controls, reinforced walls, and electrical grids. Technology far beyond what most people imagine. The longest tunnel, found in 2020, ran 4,309 feet and included high-voltage wiring and elevator shafts. These designs show that highly organized groups spent months underground, right beneath homes, businesses, and federal infrastructure, without anyone knowing. What makes this even more dangerous is how close these tunnels run to storm drains, sewer lines, and industrial foundations. When they weaken soil, the ground above can shift or collapse. Several unexplained sinkholes along the border have later been linked to tunnel activity, and inspectors warn that many tunnels remain undiscovered. Urban explorers entering drainage channels near Otay Mesa often have no idea that cartel tunnels sometimes sit only a few feet behind thin concrete walls. If they accidentally break into one or are found near one, the consequences can be deadly. One Border Patrol officer said, "These tunnels aren't abandoned. They're active crime scenes." The real risk isn't just collapse. It's encountering people who do not want to be found. Transition to, but even these engineered tunnels pale in comparison to what lies deeper east: forgotten mines and caverns that collapse without warning. The hidden mines and caverns, the deepest risk beneath San Diego. San Diego's East County hides a sprawling maze of abandoned gold mines, some dating back to the 1870s. Many were never mapped properly. Others were covered by landslides, swallowed by vegetation, or left open as dark vertical wounds in the earth. Places like Stonewall Mine and Eagle Mine once buzzed with life, producing millions in gold, but hundreds of smaller, unstable mines stretch across the region, some beneath hiking trails, ranches, and parks. These mines contain rotting wooden supports, toxic water, rusted metal, and shafts dropping hundreds of feet. Many chambers were dug quickly and carelessly, with no thought for long-term stability. As the earth expands, contracts, and erodes, ceilings collapse silently, creating hidden voids under the surface. Urban explorers often step into these areas believing they've found a forgotten cave, only to discover too late that they're inside a mine filled with deadly gases or unventilated pockets. One park ranger described the danger simply: "These mines breathe poison." Some shafts are now completely hidden beneath thin soil layers. A single footstep can break through, sending a person plunging into darkness. Others contain stagnant pools of water laced with heavy metals, water that can burn skin or release toxic fumes when disturbed. Local legends say valuable gold remains inside abandoned tunnels, but treasure hunters rarely understand the risk. Several rescues over the past decades involve people trapped by cave-ins, sudden drops, or exposure to oxygen-depleted air. San Diego's deepest danger isn't in tourist caves or forgotten city tunnels. It's in these ancient mines carved with no safety standards and left to rot underground. They are the final reminder that the underworld beneath the city is not only unknown, it's unstable. If this underworld is real, San Diego's biggest threat isn't above ground. It's beneath our feet. Stay alert. The story isn't over.